It was the night of October 30th, and there was a knock on our door. Adam had been in a serious car accident. I thought that we were being told that your son's going to die. We learned that he was going to be flown to Harborview Medical Center.
And the doctor who was the head that day, he looked at us and he said, "This is very bad."
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we don't know.
When people have had a serious illness, especially if it's sudden or unexpected, it's as if somebody says, you're going on a journey and you don't know where you're going, but it's going to be treacherous, and along the way, one of your loved ones might die.
We were faced with a situation of whether or not to put the trach in and to have the feeding tube put in. And for us, it was an agonizing decision to know whether we were going to prolong his life in that state. And is that what Adam wanted?
Patients and families are faced with more choices than they ever had before, and more decisions than they ever had before. And when you have a serious illness, all those choices and decisions feel like life or death decisions. And so people need guidance in figuring out how to work their way through them.
We have really focused on developing marvelous treatments and technologies to sustain life, to prolong life, and that's wonderful. But our treatments and technologies have gotten so advanced that sometimes we wind up using those technologies in situations where that's really not what's in the patient's best interest or what patients really want if they really understand all the things that are going on.
Palliative care is a kind of specialty care that helps optimize the quality of life for patients with a serious illness and their families.
I had heard the word before, but I had always associated it with end-of-life decisions, which really made me anxious.
The most common misconception about palliative care is that it's the same as end-of-life care. And when we equate palliative care with end-of-life care, that misses enormous opportunities to improve care for patients with serious illness, either that we don't recognize who are dying or that may not be dying.
Over the next week or two, Adam still remained very sick, and he really wasn't making any significant improvements. And Mark and Alice really started to question their decision to move forward.
I leaned down and I whispered to Adam that if it was just too hard to come back, it was okay to go.
So when the Beatys were really looking at the possible end of their son's life and having to say goodbye to Adam, what we did and what we seek to do is draw as close to them in that experience as possible. Because there's a lot of evidence that that sort of spiritual heartache and distress, if it's held in community, there can be healing there. But if someone stays in that place alone, it tends to lead to worse outcomes, worse health outcomes, and more pain and distress for that person. Fortunately for the Beatys, things began to look up.
We got a phone call that the neurologist was up there waiting for us and to get up there as fast as we could.
Dr. Rapport came in and goes, "Hey, I looked at his MRI. I don't see anything to suggest that he can't have a reasonable recovery."
Stu always said that his patients were his best teachers, and he had one story in particular that he liked to tell. You can tell how many years ago it was because it was when hospitals had windows that opened. The patient had tried to jump out of the window. She was in so much pain, she just decided she couldn't take it anymore. And he sat down and said to her, "You know, I haven't been listening to you, but I'm here now."
Dr. Stuart Farber really founded the palliative care service at UW Medical Center in 2005 and built that program to be a world-class palliative care service. That program that he built has been a flagship for our palliative care services at UW Medicine. Palliative care includes physicians, nurses, social workers, spiritual care providers, and others, a team of people who provide care for patients with serious illness and for their families as well. So our center is very focused on building our clinical programs to ensure that every patient with a serious illness has access to palliative care. We're very interested in improving education in palliative care for clinicians. That includes training specialists in palliative care, but also making sure that all doctors and nurses and social workers have primary palliative care skills.
At the Cambia Health Foundation, we believe that palliative care is about life. It's about enhancing the quality of life and enjoying life, even when you're dealing with serious illness. It's the type of person-focused care that we'd like to become the norm for the entire healthcare system.
Because of contributions from individuals and organizations like the Cambia Health Foundation, we're really able to secure the future of the center.
The $10 million investment we made in UW-Medicine to create the Cambia Palliative Care Center of Excellence is the largest grant in the Cambia Health Foundation's history.
You know, I used to spend my time convincing people palliative care is important. I don't have to do that anymore. Now we have to figure out, okay, how do we really deliver this kind of care to everybody who wants it?
So now we're around week 7.
And I can remember that day, Mark sent me an email that said, "You won't believe it."
It was like someone found the switch on Adam and flipped him to on. I told Alice that we had something to show her. So she's there, and I turn my computer around to Adam, and he starts blowing her kisses.
Things were going to get better.
So from him starting to speak, I mean, from there, it was just these incredible, stepwise improvements, significant improvements, and was actually then able to go home.
The day I came home was a relief that I can sleep in my own bed and have my dog sleep with me.
It's a new relationship that you have with somebody after an accident like that, and I think it's really been an incredible thing to see his new relationship with his parents, with his family, with his community.
We tend to push Adam pretty hard.
We have seen such strength and such resolve to get better. It's been amazing that he had that all the time we didn't know it.
Someday I would like to work at the animal shelter.
Who knows what he can accomplish?
I am hoping that patients with a serious illness could keep living more and keep living longer with all the medical treatment instead of having to live for the medical treatment. And I feel like that would really transform the way we deal with serious illness.